Ladies and gentlemen, boys and berries, it's me, Bradley G. Now, I'm solo again today because we had some technical difficulties because Steve is in his new World Nerve Center and headquarters at his new location because he moved. He moved ahead. So here's our topic for today, and Steve's going to be in the comments area. He just, as far as hooking up his internet, and it's kind of slow. He's going to work on getting a booster. So go ahead and comment below. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. I can see them comments as they come in through here. But today, this is what we're going to be talking about. Getting gigs. Getting the gigs. Easier done than said. Now, can I prove that? Well, I kind of can. I'm going to give you a little bit of history on how I went full time. Now, this isn't specific to the seniors industry. It's actually more specific to corporate, and not always these big giant corporate kind of things, but for businesses doing shows for companies that employ people. So I've done things for like Checker Machine and some kind of construction company. But then I was also doing shows for General Mills, Pillsbury, Medtronic, 3M, Honeywell, Target Corporation, Best Buy Corporation, all these big companies that are headquartered here in Minneapolis. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to share a little bit about how I did that. And we got a comment on here already. Who is it? It's from AI. Good morning. Does that mean you're artificially intelligent? Or is that Alabama? I don't know. So that's one of the challenges with the internet, the way that it works, is all this anonymity stuff that these platforms are forced to put into play because people are afraid of being captured. It's Al. Good morning, Al. It's good to know. Good to know. So the StreamYard people, that the platform that I use on here, were forced to allow users to give permission to show their identity before we went live, because this has the ability to going live on multiple platforms. And if Al didn't want to be known, and if it was showing on here, they'd be anyways. I get confused. So here's how I got my jobs when I was doing this full time. And you might have seen this already. I created a trade show for the event planning industry. Now, this is sort of a big endeavor because I had to sell exhibit space, but I never sold it myself. I outsourced that to someone else to do the telemarketing, and they would buy exhibit space in this trade show. And this was for all the event planners. They're looking for attractions and caterers and balloon decorators and staging and lighting and limousine services and speakers, entertainers. They're looking for different facilities, and they're looking for petting zoos and all these caricaturists, face painters, clowns, jugglers. They're looking for all this stuff that they need to put on their events. And they would come into this event, and they would then fill out a little form that told me how much money they had to spend, because that was their budget, and what they were looking for and what event they were looking for. And they would give me this information because before the internet, they didn't know how to find a petting zoo unless that petting zoo had the money to advertise in the yellow pages. They didn't know how to find that. They knew how to find Hilton hotels and the Mall of America because they had that money to spend, but the little guy didn't know how to be found. So the event planners loved this event because they could come to it and they could find all this stuff that they needed, whether it be a portable bartender or the ability to do a cocktail party on the tram at the Minnesota Zoo, or going over to the St. Paul Science Museum and renting space over there and doing some kind of gala or soiree. They're looking for all this stuff. So they would come to this event and fill out that form, checking off what they're looking for, how much money they had, when their event date was, and then I would go through all that and I would start sending them postcards. I don't have any of my postcards here sitting here, but Steve and I talk about postcards a lot. because they're very, very, very affordable. For about 50 cents, you can put a stamp on a postcard and mail it out. And we got this software that you don't even have to do that. And but back in the day, the way I looked at it is my show fee was like about 350 bucks back then, if I recollect. So I could send out a lot of postcards to one person before and they could say no, 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 no. But eventually they might have something going on, whether it be a client appreciation or employee recognition or a trade show or a company picnic or a holiday party or a sales meeting or an upper management meeting or a open house, or they had all these different events. These corporations were having all these functions, meetings, and they want to add something to it to make it more fun, and magic is great for that. So I would have this list and I would just mail postcards. And people used to say the fortune's in the follow-up. I didn't follow up. I would send my brochure. My process was this: I would generate these leads of qualified people because they were people that plan events. Why else would they come to this if they didn't have something to do with events? And I invited them because I had acquired lists. I would buy lists back in the day when you buy them from list brokers. So I knew that they were event planners because I was networking with the organizations that represent the event planners. So I would then invite them to the event. They would tell me how much money they had and when they wanted to spend it. I would mail out postcards. It's company picnic time, or add some magic to your holiday event, or use magic to attract attention at your trade show booth, relevant to whatever this information I collected. And then they would see the postcard and they would inquire and say, hey, are you available on such and such a date? And then I would say yes, and I would send them my brochure with my fee, and then they would call me back and book it, or they would move on to somewhere else. So I had a real interesting system. Now, it took me a lot of work to put this show together. And this was before the internet, when you had all that stuff like Eventbrite or Evite and all these things, or things like Mailbox Power to be able to mail out postcards. Nowadays, what I'm doing, and I'm not performing full time anymore. I'm doing events and event marketing. I'm helping people generate leads through live events. But if I was gigging, I've got a database of about 5,000 people that have registered to attend my different events. So I can mail them out postcards, and I could do that thing and start booking gigs again. And I just lost my train of thought. That happens when you get to be 65, 66 years old. What was my... Oh, I'd send my brochure. I wouldn't follow up. They would call me, and I would just continue to send stuff until they would respond. And the thing is about postcard marketing is people see it. It keeps you top of mind. And some other ways of doing this without doing a big giant trade show is you can just do a gathering. There was a friend of mine that had a limousine company, and he would throw a party for all the hotel concierge people, a concierge party. So that was what he was doing, is developing a relationship with all the hotels and the concierge, because when people are looking to go out somewhere, they need a ride. Who do you call? Well, you call John Henderson with Henderson Limousine. So there's a way of doing all this stuff. And there's also a way of doing it without even orchestrating your own party. Like some of the things that I do, we do these cruises on the Mississippi River, and Lake Minnetonka is a big lake in Minneapolis, or the St. Croix River is the river between Minnesota and Wisconsin. And they do these cruises, and they have public cruises, like they have Taco Tuesday or Pizza Friday. And I would just invite people to go on this cruise. And then what I would do is I would tell them to wear a paper clip on their collar, because this is a cruise for the event professional. See if I don't got that. Let me see. You don't need any visual aids. So I would invite them on this cruise, and then I worked out a deal with the cruise company where they gave me a discount code, a coupon code. So I would give them $5 or $10 off the cruise, and they would register for the event. And I would tell them in my invitation to put a paper clip on their collar. And now when I'm on the cruise, when I'm walking around looking at people, I notice that there's a paper clip, and I could then communicate with them because I know that they are an event planner, or at least they're in the event industry. And that's where I end up developing that relationship. So I'm on a boat for 2 hours with these event planners, building a relationship. So that's what I'm doing nowadays, but I'm not doing it for the event industry. So moving into like the seniors area, you could do a little workshop and bring in perhaps a insurance person or a care provider, or some of you will call them competitors, because some people are sometimes afraid of competitors. Bring them in as allies instead of looking at them as competitors, and do a little open house type event for these activities coordinators at the seniors groups. Say, come on in, we're doing a vendor showcase. In fact, I got that graphic. I'm going to show you this graphic. Right here. Ready? So you can invite them to a little senior center facilitator, or what are they? I don't even know the terminology for them, but they're activities coordinators, perhaps. The activities coordinator. And it's a little vendor show, little showcase where you've got someone that does music. We've got a guy here that does Elvis impersonations, and he does Garth Brooks, and he does Frank Sinatra. And then get a musician, and we all work together to put these people, these activity coordinators, in one room, and they have to fill out a little form saying, how many events do they do per year, and what's your approximate budget for the year, the month, or the week, or whatever. And are you planning anything in the next 3 to 6 months? You ask all these questions, they fill out this little form, and now you, as the orchestrator of this thing, have all that information. And then you can use that information to book those shows. And so that's one way of doing it. Another thing that I used to do is I used to be part owner of the Funny Bone Comedy Club. My friend Dan Fleshman, Danny Fleshman, he had orchestrated that here in the Twin Cities. And so we had the comedy club that was adjacent to this peanut bar. And I would invite my VIP clients, the Medtronic, General Mills, Pillsbury, 3M, Honeywell, all those local event planners. I would invite them to a little cocktail party, and they would come and have cocktails and have this complimentary buffet for some snacks. And then we'd go over and see the show at the comedy club, complimentary, VIP, front row seating. And they enjoyed the evening. They liked me because I invited them there, complimentary. All they had to do was pay for their drinks and their parking, and everything else was free. Now, I didn't buy anything at the little pub, the peanut bar. They had that available already. They did it every Wednesday or something like that. The facility did that. And the comedy club, I was a part of an investor, so I worked out a deal where I could comp some people in there. And you could do that with a comedy club or whatever. I'm sure they'll set aside some seats if you're going to bring in these corporate event planners or these activities coordinators and do like a senior comedy night or something. So you can work out these little deals. And now I didn't have to cook any food. I didn't have to buy any food. I didn't have to have any drinks. All I had to do is invite people to this thing, sit down and schmooze with them. So I got another comment. Let's see what the comment is if you have any questions or whatever. A fun word I learned for competition is co-opetition. I like that. Oh, Justin, how you doing, Justin? Look at that. Justin's got the guts to put his actual real identity on there. For those that don't know, Justin is a local Minneapolis. Well, he lives in the southern part of Minneapolis now, but he works some restaurants here, and he's gigging, and he's got a bunch of kids, so he's got to gig a lot. So thanks for tuning in, Justin. Appreciate it. Yeah, collaboration is so much easier than competing. when people compete, nobody wins, you know? Competition is good for sports when there's a time frame and a goal. And when you reach the goal, then you get a point. But as far as entertainment, I've been doing this since I was a kid and I'm still gigging. So the show's not over. So I don't agree with the concept of competition. It doesn't make any sense. Collaboration, 1 + 1 = 11. That's where the synergy thing comes in. And that's my story, Morning Glory. So I've blabbed for 15 minutes. If anybody's got any questions in here, I'll give you my 2 cents. I'm actually thinking about creating a course for this and selling it. I mentioned last week that I have all those PDF documents for things in the event industry, and I only had one person ask for them, which is interesting. So maybe some of you guys are just kind of just hanging out here because you feel like it and you don't need any help. So that's a possibility. Anyways, Justin, I'm looking forward to meeting with you because I have some ideas for booking senior stuff up here in the Twin Cities and making it easy instead of chasing event planners, the elusive event planner. It's hard to keep track of who's coordinating the events. You know, those people shift from job to venue. So there's other ways of finding these people that are in the moment. So that's my story, Morning Glory. If you don't have any questions or comments or complaints or suggestions, I'm going to tune out. If you want to put them in the chat, I can maybe answer them there. And hopefully Steve is going to get himself a booster and we'll be able to have Steve back next week. Okie dokie, Smokey. That's all I got for now. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be good, be kind, be nice. Did I say be nice? Be nice. See ya.